What's up, XCW Galaxy? It's me, Hayden Vex, and you're about to watch Recall.
Welcome once again to XCW Recall, and this is your season finale. Let's set the stage. You've had XAWA, FWL, XCW, all head-to-head, all vying to have one of their stars competing for the United Backyard Championship. So, defending XCW's honor, we have Mr. 187 Genocide, XAWA's Nightmare, a la Hayden Vex. Now, one of Genocide's longest matches in XCW history. Who will win that United Backyard title at Enemy Lines?
And here we are. This is Ground Zero. This was back in October of 2019. And you weren't even on the XCW roster when you performed this match. So in the match, you don't even go by the name Hayden Vex. You went by Nightmare. You were representing XAWA.
Dude, a little chunky there.
So in this is only the second time that you had been a part of one of the tri-brands. Only the second time that you've had the opportunity to, like,
I think the second time I wrestled in the XCW ring.
Yeah. So, do you remember anything about this day, or anything about, like, your first experiences of working with XCW guys going into this?
My first experience would have been not the first tri-brand. I think I actually missed the very first tri-brand.
Because I think the first one you worked would have been High Stakes.
Yeah.
Tournament.
Yep, and me and Jay Ellis worked. And we tore it down, really, then. So, yeah, this would have been the second time. This show was, honestly, it was a bad show. Like, it was a clusterfuck. So, and what makes this actually really unique is I wasn't even supposed to be in this position.
No, it was originally supposed to be Cyrus Mason.
Yeah, and I think his hand, his wrist, his fingers, something was hurt to where, like, he couldn't compete. And I remember when Mike told us, he's like, Mason ain't gonna be able to wrestle. Someone's gotta replace him. And I immediately said, put me in there because I want to wrestle. I want to wrestle Genocide. Like, when the first time I even actually seen him wrestle was, I believe, was in high stakes. Yeah, high rank.
Yeah.
And I was blown away. I was like, man, I've got to wrestle him. And when that opportunity finally popped up, I'm like, man, put me in there if Josh is willing to do it. And you was, and what made it too unique is before even this event is Genocide wrestled all of the XAWA roster except for me, literally up until this point. So, like, that's what made it a big deal. It's like, okay, you've beaten everyone in XAWA, but you technically haven't beaten the best in XAWA. So that's what made this really perfect. We took the best of one company versus the best of another company is what it was.
Wanting Genocide to lose this title because then it opens up the opportunity for other XCW comrades to get in there.
And so this match, of course, involves the United Backyard Wrestling Championship, which is now a defunct title. There was only two champions in history, yourself and Genocide. The concept of it was between the three companies, XAWA, XCW, and FWL. So, like, you as an XAWA representative, as champion, you would only defend against XCW and FWL. Genocide would only defend against XAWA and FWL. So, in a way, like, you being XAWA representative and being the United Backyard Wrestling Champion, XAWA guys would probably want you to lose the title because they don't have an opportunity to face off for the title unless you lost it.
Right.
So it's a unique concept. What did you think of the concept when it was presented, and how far did you think it was going to go at this point?
Oh, I loved the concept. I thought it was awesome. It was right off the beginning hitting with one of my finishers. Yeah, I thought it was so unique, is because it's not two brands. It was three brands coming together to do something very, very special and unique, and even have a title amongst all three of us of who's really the best wrestler of the three brands. That's what I looked at, like when the title between all three. That's what it meant. You were the best of all three brands. But no, you do make a good point. Like, yeah, the other roster members of XAWA, yeah, they wouldn't really want me to have it, so they could get that title shot too. But at the same time, it's like, well, you all had your title shot and you were beat.
It's a unique situation because it's like, obviously you want your brand to be supreme and have the title that reigns over the other two brands, but it's like, in a way, it's like, okay, well, if it's not you, then the person on your roster is holding it hostage because you can't face somebody of your own brand for it. So it's like a very unique concept.
Right. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. And when it comes to terms of how long it was going to last, I really thought it was going to last for a long while. Way longer than what it did, unfortunately.
His resume definitely precedes him.
So, obviously you were an XCWA representative at the time. How did you look at obviously the XCWA roster would implode just like 4 months after this event.
Yeah, I think it was like 4 months.
What was your standings? What was your feelings on the roster that you were working for at the time?
I mean, I love the guys. They were good. I felt like I felt like we did it with each other, but I felt like too I helped bring out the best in them, because like just the way I performed, like I was just always on another level. I never took anything away from the XAWA guys, though, or even for anyone that I wrestle for that matter, because I come up as pretty stuck up, like.
So with your, things were going decent at this point with an XAWA.
Oh yeah, it really was.
Roster. What was your opinion or thoughts on the XCW roster as opposed to the company that you were working for at the time? Like, was it an immediate goal for you to become part of both rosters or jump ship? Like, where did you feel like XCW's roster stacked up against the roster that you were on?
Oh, I thought XCW roster was better just in the terms because of the size. Like, we was that typical backyard promotion where there were 6, 7 of us, maybe 14 of us, because we all had like a mass character or something like that. But some of the stuff we did too, I mean, it flat out was like just kind of dumb, it was just nonsense stuff. But
NXT was more story driven and serious.
Yes, more like wrestling driven and stuff, where I felt like we was literally an entertainment show. Like,
you had Wolfsburg and
we had
Carborg
we had Taven being pushed down in a cart, in a street or something. It was ridiculous, but it was all fun. I mean, I had a blast. But in terms of XCW's roster, I thought it was great. I loved the fact that we were working with a brand that had a roster, that had a ring, that was established, and from what I saw, I liked. And wrestling Benji after this match is actually when I really decided that, okay, I'm going to see about wrestling for XCW. Because I had the thought, because I think at the time Mike and Darren was wrestling with XCW.
And like my goal, obviously, as a promoter of XCW, wasn't to like poach the opposite companies and like trying to steal their talent away.
Right.
When people wanted to make the commitments, we you know, I obviously went through the proper channels. Like, if somebody on the lower card, and I'm not saying that you're necessarily the lower card, but like,
Right.
you weren't the powers that be. So like, I took it upon myself. Like, I didn't, even if I had interest in you, I didn't pursue you.
Right.
I would let you or Will pursue me first and show your interest, and then I would go through the proper channels of being like, this person's interested. Is there any working with these people, or, you know, I don't want to screw up what you got going on to bring them into the brand.
Right.
So
I'm pretty sure we even talked, I think, maybe at the end of this show, or maybe it was maybe the next day or something, but I remember we talked not long, I think, after this show about me coming in.
Which is probably a smart decision. Genocide, obviously.
So that's one thing that, like, I've been kind of had the finger pointed at me about the XAWA guys, you know, in particular guys like, you know, Baker and Will and Travis or whoever that kind of pointed the finger of, like, me being the reason that things fell apart. Like, I pulled people away from the brand and offered something different. And it was never like that. To my knowledge, never came to you and was like, hey, like...
Right, you should come wrestle for me. Yeah, you never, ever did that to me. You never once tried to even, like you said, you just kind of waited till you was approached about it, you know? Benji barely even chopped me there. I told him, I said, light me up.
So, for this is obviously the first time that you, like, I mean, probably only the second time that you got to work in an actual ring. The first time that you got the opportunity to work with Benji. So,
yes.
Did you and Benji really have to sit down and, like, come up with a game plan of what you're going to do in the match? Did you only do, like, an open and a finish? Or did you plan anything? Like, what was the process for you two going into this match? Especially with you being a beginner in this type of wrestling environment, because you wrestled on the ground before this.
Right. We went over your main points. You know, we went over our beginning. We came up with like a main point, you know, in our middle for a good pop, and then we came up with the finish, and then I told him, I said, man, I'm that type of person. I like to come up with my couple points and then go out there and just, you know, tell a story. Which with the story we were trying to tell is, you know, which company had the best wrestler at this point.
And this is even the Hayden Vex that you see in XCW in 2020, 21, 22, the years after this, where you're a hard-hitting, more sadistic brawler style. This one, you picked them apart, you were more technical. Was that just to adapt to the Genocide style, or is that something that you wish that you did more with your character these days?
It was something that I wish I did do more, just because I didn't really have the ring, and it was really, who I'm wrestling. The way I am is whoever I'm in there is I kind of adapt to them. Like, if I'm with a smaller guy, then I'm gonna throw you around. If I'm in there with a wrestler with you know, Genocide, Kurt Acid, I'm gonna have to wrestle you.
Which style do you prefer? Your normal brawler style, or to be able to, like, tell a story in a ring and pick your opponent apart and work on the ground like this?
Telling the story. That's always my main thing. I mean, anyone can go out there and technically brawl, you know, throw some punches, throw a headbutt or something, but not everyone can go out and tell a story. And me and him went out and we told a hell of a story. I think this is actually coming up is our main part, which I think is I dived on him outside the ring.
Yeah, I wonder how much more do you think you can take?
I'm not sure. How much more can either one of
At least I thought I was coming up, maybe.
get back to his feet here, and he does, using every part.
But yeah, I remember too when I talked, because that was something I always wanted to do in the ring. I wanted to dive out of the ring, and I asked him if I could do a dive on him. He said, yeah. I was like, hell yeah. I was like, that'll make people fucking shit.
So obviously, you had really got to work with any of these guys prior to this. You didn't know us. What was your first impression on the guys in the locker room, and more specifically, Benji himself? What was your first impression of the guys in the locker room?
So I thought everyone was fucking down to earth, nice, good vibes from everyone.
What about Benji specifically?
Benji, me and him just kind of, man, we kind of clicked in the terms, at least of wrestling. You know, like we just kind of talked about the match a little bit. You know, like in terms of what moves you liked, and you know, who'd you like watching wrestling growing up, that kind of stuff. You know, we just kind of talked. You know, really got to know each other. But Benji was just down to earth kind of guy, like real nice, open book, open minded. Those punches there, he actually laid into me, and I told him to. I remember he hit me once. I was like, do it again. He did it again. I said, do it again.
So you got the chance to work with Genocide for the next 3 years.
Yes.
Following this, what kind of relationship did you guys create after this and being able to work with each other for the next 3 years?
Man, we made a good friendship. After this, I think we had so much fucking respect for each other that I don't know, almost words can't even describe it. Like just how we talked to each other and how we was with one another after this match was something else. We always talked before the shows. He always would greet me, give me a hug, make sure I was, you know, doing okay. Vice versa for him. And you know, it was special to me, you know, because I mean, yeah, the other roster would come up, you know, hey Josh, how you doing? All right. Hey Hayden, you all right? But man, Benji come up, he'd give me a hug, and then you could tell it was a hug, man. Like it wasn't just a hug. Like it was meaningful, you know. He cared.
And he did that with everybody.
Yeah, he really did. Like, it wasn't just me. I saw him do it.
It's not just like, oh, well, he's passed, so say nice things. Like, it's crazy to think like the nicest guys, the ones that do the most, are the ones that go.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep.
He was genuinely that guy in the locker room that was...
Oh, yeah.
There's no one else like him in the locker room these days.
No, there's not. And I'm not going to say it's bad without him, because it's not. But it's also not the same. And it's not. The atmosphere is very different.
Feels like he's done enough damage to Genocide's knee, clearly causing him discomfort. He's starting to move on to another part.
I know some people, I think Lawrence, I feel like, is taking over his spot of sleeping wherever, though. Like, he sleeps a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, Benji is probably about the only person I've ever seen sit in that garage that's hot as it would be on some days and sleep.
He's dead in the bed. There's no way he can't come back from that without the use of the acid.
So obviously in this you were under XAWA and your name was Nightmare, and
yeah,
you come into XCW less than a year later. Probably
I think the following season.
5 months later.
Yeah.
And now you're going by Hayden Vex.
Hayden Vex.
Hayden Vex. So, how was it, the transition from Nightmare to Hayden Vex? What kind of mindset? What did it take for you to become Hayden Vex?
It was kind of hard, simply because I was actually trying to F5 him there, which was my finisher in XAWA. I did legit try to pick him up and couldn't. The transition wasn't too hard, because it was one of those things where like I could still kind of be Nightmare, but I had this kind of, not necessarily a new gimmick, a new name, new finishers.
Like a resurgence almost.
Yeah, kind of. It was almost like a reset, but not necessarily. But I didn't have an issue there. Fairy tale ending, which that was something I always did. No, it wasn't.
What about the transition of the locker room? So, like, obviously every locker room is totally different, and how things were ran there, and the way, you know, things were written there is one 1,000% different than it is in XCW. So how hard was that transition of the locker room style, the writing style, everything that comes with that?
Not hard at all, actually. Because we helped Mike a lot when it comes to stories and stuff. And this is actually going in our finish. That spot right there is what he told me. He goes, let's go for our finish. And he goes, by the way, I absolutely love you.
And this was coming from a guy that barely knew you.
Yes. Yeah. I want to say it's really the first day like I said, me and him really got to know each other.
If that were me in that situation, I'd be like, well, I no longer wrestle for XCWA. I'm just going to come here like, Jesus.
Yeah, like I said, this made my help for my decision to join. And this whole finish here, this was his call. He wanted to put me in his submission. I get to the ropes. He pulls me. Oh, he dropped me. Wasn't supposed to. And then I pull him down. And then I was supposed to put my Texas Cloverleaf on him. But I couldn't get his big legs wrapped together. So it looked like I just kind of put his own sharpshooter on him. Well, I was like, well, it works. It's working. And then he just kind of passes out. Which is, I was honored by this, really, because, he's a submissionist. So for him just to be kind of beaten by submission, not necessarily tapping, giving up, but.
So it's been 4 years since you've probably watched this match back.
It's been a while.
What is your impression of this match after being able to recall it for the first time in 4 years?
I've changed a lot. I think I'm better now than I was then, even though I was damn good then. I was honored to win that. Like I said, made my decision. I felt like I wanted to be part of the XCW roster.
Definitely well earned. We can't say anything bad about it. Is Nightmare able to knock off?
But I was impressed, because I was shocked that you was putting the title on me. But and then I'm emotional here because the guys come out. But it meant a lot. It meant a lot to me. Yeah, it really made my decision that I want to wrestle for this company. It's a shame that honestly we didn't get to keep doing tri-brand stuff.
Yeah, and now you're gonna think November 9th.
So is there anything that you want to talk about in regards of this match in closing?
Yeah, I really think it's probably, when you brought about the match, it's one of my best matches.
Probably the best match in Ground Zero history also.
You think so?
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
If not
really.
that, it's definitely in the top 3. I mean, Ground Zero isn't taken as seriously, so...
Right. I know we tried to, for the tri-brands to be serious because it was, it was something big. But yeah, I felt like this is one of my literally top 3, top 5 best matches I've ever had. And it sucks that I didn't get to work with him as Hayden Vex. Like we didn't get to tell an even bigger story. We could have did so much more.
And then also with that, anything that you want to say about your time getting the opportunity to wrestle with Benji and work with Benji throughout the years?
Oh, I was honored to work with him. Great in the ring. Guy had a great mind. Like I said, I think that first day we mostly just kind of talked and got to know each other. I think we did that more than we even talked about our match. Like I said, when it came to the match, beginning, middle, and we came up with that finish. And that's all we talked about. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I said, the way with him in the locker room to him not being in the locker room. Like I said, with him there, he'd always come up, greet me, give me a hug. And it's like you said, he didn't do that with just me. He did that with everyone. He was always friendly and, you know, real close to everyone. And once he was gone, like I said, the atmosphere of that, it changed. I mean, it's not bad. Locker room atmosphere is not bad at all. But, man, it sucks without him. It really does.
Wow. As I told you in the opening, what a match. Genocide not being able to get the job done for XCW, but Hayden Vex winning that United Backyard title and representing XAWA. Now, special XCW Recall season dedicated to our fallen brother, Genocide. Mr. 187, The Boat, Kurt Aston. We here at XCW want to thank everybody that has watched XCW from day one, everybody that's joined us throughout the years, everybody that supported us, and especially that supported our fallen brother in Genocide, Kurt Aston, The Boat, Benji Kaufman. Now, we dedicated this season to him, but even though we dedicated this season to Kurt Aston, that does not mean it is the end for XCW Recall. So, we just want to say, we love you, brother. You're always in our thoughts. But join us when we come back for the newest season of XCW Recall.